It's the silence that gets you. God, it's so loud in here now. I'm sitting on the floor of our apartment, my apartment, I guess, and I can't stop staring at the dent he left in the couch cushion. It's surrounded by a mountain of takeout containers, and the whole place has this sour, stale smell. I just opened the fridge for something to do. The only thing in there is a carton of milk Carter bought. It expired yesterday. He's just gone. One minute he was here, and the next, it's like he evaporated. No big fight, no screaming match, just an empty space where he used to be. He loved me. I know he did. So how the hell did we get here? How does a person who adored you just vanish? It started as this stupid little thing. A quirk. At least that's what I called it to myself late at night when the guilt was gnawing at me. I have this thing, this knot of pure, uncut anxiety in my stomach that just tightens whenever things feel too good. My last relationship ended with him cheating, like spectacularly, in a way that destroyed my trust in my own judgment. So I guess I've been waiting for the other shoe to drop ever since. With Carter, things were perfect, too perfect. He was kind and patient, and he actually listened. That's what scared me the most, so I invented a game. I called it archaeology. I know how it sounds, okay? I hated myself every time I did it. My hands would shake a little, my heart pounding this guilty rhythm against my ribs. It felt so gross. But the panic, that cold, slimy feeling that he was going to leave me just like the last guy did, was so much worse. It was like I had to find a small, manageable problem from the past to distract myself from the giant, terrifying fear of the future. When he was in the shower or asleep, I'd pick up his phone. I wasn't looking for cheating, not really. I knew he wasn't that guy. Instead, I'd dig. I'd scroll back months, sometimes a whole year. I was looking for I don't even know what. A conversation with a female coworker about a project from 6 months ago. A polite happy birthday text to a college friend he hadn't seen in years. One time, I found a comment he'd left on his ex's sister's graduation photo from 3 years ago. 3 years ago, it said, "Congrats, you'll do great things." I built a whole narrative around it in my head. Then I'd stage my discovery. I'd wait for the right moment, maybe when we were watching TV, and I'd put on this wounded, quiet voice. "Hey, who's Amelia?" I'd ask, my voice trembling just enough. He'd be confused at first. "Amelia, from accounting. We worked on the quarterly report together last spring." Why? And I'd show him the screen, a completely innocuous chat from 8 months prior. It's just the way you use that smiley face, it feels flirty. And Carter, he was a saint. At first, he'd look so genuinely confused, which almost made it worse. But over time, that confusion in his eyes was replaced by something else, a weariness. A deep, profound sigh before he'd start his apology script. He never fought back. He's not a fighter. He just absorbed it. He'd absorb my crazy and try to soothe it away, wrapping his arms around me and spending the rest of the night reassuring me. And the worst part, after he'd apologized, after hours of me crying and him reassuring me it would be amazing for a day, I'd feel so loved, so secure. The knot would be gone. But it always came back. The relief was temporary. The addiction needed another hit. The last time, God, I can still feel the sick thrill in my chest, that ugly mix of dread and anticipation. It was a Tuesday. I'd had a horrible day at work. My boss had basically called me incompetent in front of the entire team. It was one of those small, public humiliations that leaves you feeling raw and exposed. I came home feeling small and worthless, and that old, familiar panic started bubbling up. It was like a reflex. The shame from work morphed into a deeper, more personal fear. That I was fundamentally unlovable, and my twisted brain's only coping mechanism was to test Carter. I needed to prove he wouldn't abandon me even when I was at my worst. The only way I knew how was to make him the source of a problem I could control. He was in the shower, the sound of the water a running clock on my mission. I grabbed his phone off the nightstand, my fingers already swiping before I'd even consciously decided to do it. The muscle memory was horrifying. I went deep this time, way back. My thumb was a blur, scrolling past months, then a year, then two. I was on an archaeological expedition into a life he had before me, a life I was determined to find fault in. Back to that blurry period when he'd just broken up with his long-term girlfriend, Sarah. And there it was. A chat from over 2 years ago, just a few months after their split. It was from a mutual friend, Kevin, asking how he was holding up. Carter's reply was short. He'd written, "I'm okay, just feels weird, getting used to it." That was it. That was the line I latched onto, getting used to it. In my warped, insecure mind, that wasn't a man grieving a past relationship. It was proof that he still harbored feelings for her. It was evidence. Never mind that this was months before he even asked me on our first date. Never mind that he'd spent the last 2 years proving his devotion to me in 1,000 different ways. bringing me soup when I was sick, listening to my endless work dramas, holding me when I had nightmares. In that moment, none of that mattered. He was guilty. When he came out of the bathroom, a towel around his waist, humming some stupid indie song, I was sitting on the edge of the bed, phone in my hand, screen lit up like a prosecutor's exhibit. I'd already rehearsed my lines. I looked up at him, my eyes wide and glistening with manufactured tears. My voice was a whisper, deliberately shaky, designed for maximum emotional impact. You told Kevin you were just getting used to it after you and Sarah broke up, I said, making it sound like an accusation of a murder. He just stopped, the humming cut short. He looked at the phone, then at my face, and a flicker of confusion crossed his features. Riley, what is that? That's from forever ago, before us. What are you doing? But you said it, I pushed, my voice cracking on cue, the tears starting to feel real now. Were you ever really over her when you met me? Have you just been settling? Am I just the person you're getting used to? The words tasted like poison, but I couldn't stop them. I was turning this ancient, meaningless text into a referendum on our entire relationship. The interrogation had begun, and I, the prosecutor, judge, and jury, was ready to find him guilty. This time was different. He didn't rush over, he didn't start apologizing. He just stood there, dripping water onto the hardwood floor, and looked at me, really looked at me. And the expression on his face, it wasn't guilt, it wasn't even anger. It was just exhaustion, a deep, bone-weary exhaustion that seemed to extinguish the light in his eyes. The silence stretched on, thick and heavy, broken only by the drip, drip, drip from the towel around his waist. When he finally spoke, his voice was unnervingly calm. Quiet. Riley, he said, and the way he said my name felt foreign. We have been together for 2 years. You are showing me a text from 2.5 years ago, before I even knew you, and you're asking me to defend it. He wasn't asking a question, it was a statement. A fact laid bare between us. I started my usual script failing me. It makes me feel like. I know how it makes you feel, he interrupted, his voice still level but with a new edge of finality. It makes you feel insecure, and then you make me feel guilty, and then I apologize, and then we're okay for a week. We've been doing this for 2 years, Riley. This isn't a quirk. It's a cycle. He walked over to his dresser, not to comfort me, but to pull on a t-shirt. He moved with a slow, deliberate quality I'd never seen before. I love you, he said, and the words were like a punch to the gut because they sounded true, but they were in the past tense in my head. But I can't do this anymore. I feel like I'm not your boyfriend. I'm a prisoner, constantly on parole, and you are the warden who keeps searching my cell for contraband that doesn't exist. This isn't a relationship, it's a life sentence, and I'm so tired. He turned, looked me right in the eye, and the finality in his gaze made my blood run cold. I'm done, he said. Then he walked into the closet, pulled out a backpack, and started putting things in it. A few shirts, his laptop, toiletries, no big dramatic packing scene, it was quiet, efficient, clinical. He didn't look at me again, he just zipped the bag, walked to the door, and left. The click of the lock behind him was the loudest sound I had ever heard. The first hour was pure, unadulterated rage. A hot, righteous fury that burned away the initial shock. How dare he walk out on me over a stupid, ancient text message. He was the one who was overreacting, being dramatic. This was insane. He'd be back in an hour, I told myself, probably after driving around the block to cool off. He'd walk through that door with flowers, his face a mask of regret, ready to grovel. I paced the apartment, the floorboards groaning under my frantic steps, rehearsing the angry, magnanimous speech I'd give him. I'd be firm but forgiving. I'd let him know he'd really hurt me this time, but that I was willing to move past it. But an hour turned into 3. The anger began to curdle into a thick, choking panic. The righteous energy drained out of me, replaced by a cold dread that started in my stomach and spread through my limbs. This wasn't part of the game. He was supposed to fight for me to prove his love. He was supposed to break down my walls, not walk away from them. He wasn't following the script. I grabbed my phone, my hands shaking so badly I could barely type. My fingers flew across the screen, a torrent of frantic, contradictory messages. Are you seriously doing this? Over nothing, unbelievable, this is the most childish thing you've ever done. Okay, I'm sorry, I was having a bad day, I shouldn't have brought it up, just come home and we can talk about it. Carter, please. I'm scared, you're scaring me, I need you. I'm so sorry, I'll never do it again, I swear on my life. I'll delete the password to your phone from my memory. I love you, don't do this to us. Don't throw away 2 years, please, I can't breathe. The messages delivered. One gray checkmark turned to 2, but they remained unread. Each unanswered text was a new wave of nausea crashing over me. The blue bubble of his chat remained empty, a void where his reassurances should have been. I switched to calling. It rang and rang and rang, the sound echoing in the silent apartment, each ring a fresh spike of anxiety. It went to his automated voicemail, his cheerful, recorded voice a cruel mockery. I must have called 20 times. Then on the 21st call, it didn't even ring. Just a single, sterile beep and then silence. Straight to voicemail, blocked. The reality hit me like a physical blow. I actually stumbled back, landing hard on the couch. Blocked. He had blocked my number. The finality of it was absolute. It was a digital door slamming shut in my face. It was a deliberate, calculated action. It meant this wasn't an impulse. It was a decision. The next 72 hours were a blur of tears and stale pizza. I didn't sleep. I just sat in the silent apartment, staring at the door, willing it to open. Every object was a torture device. His favorite coffee mug on the counter, with a chip on the rim I used to tease him about. The worn-out hoodie he always left on the armchair, which still smelled faintly of him. The indentation on his side of the bed, a perfect mold of a person who was no longer there. I was a ghost haunting the ruins of my own making, and the silence was his only reply. It was a cold, suffocating blanket, and I had woven it myself. By day 4, I was desperate. The silence was driving me insane. I needed a voice, any voice that could connect me back to him. I thought of Jess. She was our mutual friend, the one who'd introduced us. She was always my cheerleader, the one who'd listen to my anxieties and tell me I was being silly, but that Carter adored me. I dialed her number, my last lifeline. Riley, hey, is everything okay? Her voice was hesitant. Usually she was all bubbly enthusiasm. Jess, it's Carter, I sobbed, the words tumbling out in a messy, incoherent stream. He left, he just packed a bag and left, and he blocked my number, and I don't know where he is. Can you please just talk to him for me? Tell him I'm sorry, tell him I'll do anything. There was a long pause on the other end of the lines. It was an uncomfortable, loaded silence. Not the kind where someone is gathering their thoughts to comfort you, but the kind where they're trying to figure out how to escape the conversation. Riley, she finally said, her voice strained. He called me, he's staying at his brother's place. A wave of relief washed over me. Oh, thank God, is he okay? What did he say? He told me what happened, she said, and the warmth was completely gone from her tone. It was replaced by something clinical, distant. Listen, Riley, I don't want to get in the middle of this. I think maybe you should just give him some space, like real space. Space? What does that mean? I pleaded. Jess, you're my friend. I need your help. I am your friend, she said, but it sounded like an obligation, not a fact, which is why I'm telling you to stop. Just stop. I have to go, and she hung up. The dial tone buzzing in my ear was almost as deafening as Carter's silence. Her awkwardness, her refusal to take my side, was a colder slap in the face than any angry lecture could have been. It was the first time I realized this wasn't just about Carter and me. This was about me. Later that week, drowning in self-pity, I went to use Carter's old laptop to watch a movie since mine was dead. His user profile was still logged in. As I went to open the browser, my eyes caught a file on the desktop named Just Thoughts. Curiosity, that ugly, familiar impulse took over. I clicked it. It was a password-protected journal. My heart hammered against my ribs. I tried his birthday, denied. I tried my birthday, denied. Then with a shaking hand, I typed in our anniversary. The document opened, and my world ended. It was his journal going back 6 months. Entry after entry detailed the archaeology nights from his perspective. He wrote about the confusion, the hurt, the slow, grinding erosion of his trust. He wrote about how he felt like he was walking on eggshells, how my love felt conditional, like something he had to re-earn every few weeks. The last entry was dated the morning of the day he left. It read, "Another interrogation last night, over a smiley face from a year ago. I love her so much it hurts. But I feel like I'm disappearing. I look in the mirror and I don't recognize the anxious, apologetic person I've become. I think loving her is killing me. It's been a month. The apartment is cleaner now but emptier. The expired milk is gone, but the silence remains. My life hasn't just stalled, it's imploded. I'm barely holding onto my job. My boss pulled me aside last week, her face a mixture of pity and frustration, asking if I needed to take some time off. I just nodded, unable to form words. Friends have stopped calling, I think Jess told them. I imagine the conversations, the awkward retelling of my toxicity. I'm a cautionary tale now. My only real activity, the only thing I do with any focus, is the one thing I swore to him I would stop. But it's a different kind of archaeology now. Carter unblocked me at some point, not to talk, I assume, but as an act of indifference. It's worse. It means he's not scared of me anymore. It means he doesn't care, so I look. I have a fake account, of course. I spend hours circling his digital life like a vulture. His profile is private, but his friends aren't, and that's how I see him, in pieces. A tagged photo here, a background appearance there. Last night I found one, a group shot from a barbecue at Jess's house. There he is, standing in the back holding a beer. He's thinner. But he's smiling, and it's not the tight, careful smile he gave me in our last few months together. It's a real one. A big, relaxed, genuine smile that reaches his eyes. The kind of smile I haven't seen on his face in forever. The kind of smile he has when he's not constantly waiting for the next interrogation. He looks free, and that's my hell. Every night I sit in the dark, the screen of my phone illuminating my tear-streaked face, and I stare at that picture. I zoom in on his smile. It's a knife, and I twist it myself over and over. He's healing, and I am stuck here, the ghost in the machine, the stalker of a life I single-handedly destroyed. And the worst part, the absolute sickest joke of it all, is that I finally understand. I see everything clearly now. But the one person I need to tell, the only person whose forgiveness matters, is the one person I can never speak to again.